The wonderful John Goodhart, he was a chiropractor and he would be fixing his clients' necks, but they'd come back the next week. Anyway, so his practice, they took all of these clients and they went through their health history and found that they all had IBS. They sorted the IBS and the neck pain went. So then he could pull together all of these alternative practitioners from traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture, NLP, everything. And they created kinesiology, which is the muscle testing that links your muscles to certain organs.
Right.
So it tells you if the energy is working or not. So the body is speaking. You are talking to your stress response, and it is revealing the hidden stress that is in your body and creates those issues that you can't necessarily feel straight off because life is so busy, life is so noisy.
Yeah.
But it's a wonder. As a mover and as someone that appreciates the body, this makes so much sense to me.
And welcome to Women Wellbeing with me, Natalie Anderson. Today we are talking the power of movement, leaning into our natural rhythms and unlocking buried trauma with intelligent movement educator Abigail Beckingham. So sit back, relax and get ready to join us in our conversation.
Your emotions are a frothy top, really. Like they're at the top of the feeling. Check out Zach Bush. He talks about emotions so eloquently, but they are this frothy top which sits on top of your feelings, and it's your feelings that the communication is coming from, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the feeling. A feeling is trying to tell you whether you should be in a place, whether you really want that to happen, whether you want to be picking up that third coffee. You know, all of these things. Like you can feel it. It doesn't feel right in the body.
Yeah.
And it is trusting those feelings. It is coming back to those feelings and being in environments that support that.
Hello all, I hope you're all well. Now today I am thrilled to be reconnected with an amazing woman who I shared a panel with as part of Empowder's Hormone House Party in the summer last year. An educator of intelligent movement, entwining world-class luxury and lifestyle hospitality with ancestral wisdom, she is creating awe-infused transpersonal experiences and leading women towards a path of healing and freedom. She has a wealth of knowledge across concepts including kinesiology, biomovement and hormones, the menstrual cycle and the lunar calendar, and the psychology of expression and storytelling. The last time we met, I was nearly in tears through her incredible teaching, and so I can't wait to see what today holds for us. She is the wondrous Abigail Beckingham. Hello.
Hello, my darling. What an intro. I mean, I think I might just sit back and not say anything now. You've done it all for me.
Oh, thank you so much. And I said kinesiology.
Oh, you didn't even need me. There was so much worry before, wasn't there? But you did just awesomely.
Thank you so much. Now, like I said, when we last met, it was as part of the Happy Place Festival with Empowder. And I was just so moved by, you literally had like a tiny section of this panel chat. And I felt like every single woman in the room was just so moved by what you were saying. Now, just talk to me about what intelligent movement and the concept of kind of what it is that you do that's so powerful.
Every move you make, Natalie, tells me how you're feeling and what you need. It is a language that we have so forgotten, but it tells the world so much. The way you move either brings life to you or it pushes you away. And understanding this, I mean, like I said, or you've just said, I've travelled the world learning movement and various other aspects of health and wellbeing. But it was when I was in Miami studying MMA and we was learning BJJ, and this discipline showed me my go-to emotion. How whenever difficulty comes up, I go into this, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. And then the way that my body responds to that is like this, like just collapsing downwards, like head down. And the whole world is seeing that.
Yeah.
And it's a language, it's a communication. And we've forgotten how powerful it is. And so many women are asking to be seen, to be heard. but we forget the language of the body and how important that is, and knowing, like, the changes in our evolution. That language within someone that's menstruating changes over the 28 days.
Yes.
And a woman that is going through perimenopause and menopause, that language is changing all the time. And your body is calling you to pay attention to these shifts so that you understand that narrative and you don't
Mm.
get so offended by it.
Yeah. It's like that what you just said then, how your movement changes during the 28 days. Oh my goodness me. Like it really does, doesn't it? And
Mm.
I often think, am I losing the plot? Am I going mad? Like sometimes, and movement and anger and emotion and, whether you feel sad or it's very rare, I think, actually. And I'm sure our audience feels this. Well, I'm not sure, actually. I think perhaps it might be the case that when we're going through these perimenopausal transitions, the way that we move changes vastly from when we were young, when we were a lot freer. We've got mental load and we've got things on our shoulders, and there's a lot of inward and downwards. And then when you're going through certain periods in that 28-day cycle, it can be even worse. And how do we learn a new language? Like, how do we learn to kind of ride the cycle, so to speak?
Well, this comes back to you trusting your body
Mm,
and giving yourself space to listen to it. And that can be really scary sometimes. I really appreciate this. And we've all been there, haven't we? Being in your body, coming home. If you don't know that landscape,
mm,
it can feel really uncomfortable. But it requires you to trust what you're hearing, these calls inwards, leaning into those feelings. Your emotions are a frothy top, really. Like they're at the top of
mm.
the feeling. Like, check out Zach Bush. He talks about emotions so eloquently, but they are this frothy top which sits on top of your feelings, and it's your feelings that the communication is coming from, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the feeling, a feeling is trying to tell you whether you should be in a place, whether you
Mm.
really want that to happen, whether you want to be picking up that third coffee. All of these things,
Yeah.
like you can feel it.
Mm.
Doesn't feel right in the body.
Yeah.
And it is trusting those feelings. It is coming back to those feelings and being in environments that support that.
Yeah.
Like work, I hear so many women say to me, oh, but my work wouldn't let me do this, or they don't have the space for that. Well, then find that space.
Mm.
There's so many out there now. There really is. We met at Empowder.
Yeah.
What a beautiful space for women to come
Mm.
together and learn to be about themselves and find a community. There's so much out there now, and it doesn't matter about the money side of things because there's access for most people to everything.
Yeah.
There's so many women out there that I know that are offering free advice for women, giving up their time. It's there.
Yeah.
Find that space. But we have to believe that we deserve that space.
Yeah. Yeah, because that is an important factor, is that giving ourselves permission for things and allowing ourselves time and space in our daily lives. Like many of us have got responsibilities, or whether it is jobs, whether it's family, whether it's partners, whether it's caring for parents. We don't allow ourselves that time, do we, or that space? And it's really, like you said, coming back to your body. And if your body's screaming inside, help me, you've got to pay attention to it, right?
Well, this comes back to that intelligent movement piece, because what tends to happen is we get so caught up in that nervous system response that we end up doing things consistently that drive that. So we
Right.
keep ourselves busy for the sake of keeping busy because we just don't know how to sit still.
That is so true. That's me. I'm one of those people. And then when my husband goes mad because he's like, "Can you not just be?" I'm like, "I thought I was being, but clearly not."
But we don't realise that space is even there when we are so caught up on that adrenaline of doing, the next thing, the next list, the next, it's constant, isn't it? But
Yeah.
unravelling from that, being with the people that invite you to unravel from that,
Mm.
it's not easy, but it can be done.
I think as well what I found really profound was that and why I said, like, I really genuinely did nearly cry is like you gave every woman in that space a permission to stop and breathe and listen into themselves. And it was really quite moving because, like, we've just said we don't often allow ourselves that. And
Mm.
sometimes that comes, do you think it comes from women being afraid to confront, to meet themselves there of what, if they did stop, what they'd have to unlock, what they'd face there? Could it be trauma? Could it be acknowledgement that they're in a bad place or that they want more? Or so if they did stop, they'd have to sit with the feelings that are uncomfortable, maybe?
A lot of women speak about believing that their whole world would fall apart
Mm,
if they did. What would their successes be if they stopped? Where would they go? What would they do?
mm,
Like these feelings, we're never given the opportunity to actually feel them.
mm.
From a very young age, you are encouraged to be busy.
Yeah,
I look at my little kids and the schooling system, they are consistently like to be busy. They move from one thing to the next. You're never invited to ask how you're feeling. And I do this with my children a lot and I get the same response all the time. Good,
yeah,
good,
fine.
good. So I have to play a game with them. What does good feel like? Where do you feel good in your body? Like these are the games that I play.
Mm,
And like eventually we get down to, well, actually, mum, and I feel this and I feel that. It's creating that time, but like you just said, it feels uncomfortable to go where you haven't been before.
mm.
There is no easy answer to that, but it's not through pills and numbing out, which we are so accustomed to
Yeah,
do. And with alcohol, with social media, with TV, there are all of these aspects when we are emotionally unaware of what we're doing, they become our numbing out. They
yeah.
take us from the life that we were meant to live.
Mm,
And again, this just reinforces that disconnect from those feelings so that when they do come up, it feels uncomfortable. So I'm not going to go there. And then we start making excuses. Well, I haven't got the time because I'm not going to make the time. I'm going to be really busy with something so that I don't have to go there. And then it's just going to go round and round and round. And then I wonder why life keeps happening the way that it happens and why do people keep responding to me the way they keep responding? It's because of the way that you are expressing yourself and the way that
mm.
you are moving through life. One of the greatest things that I teach in workshops and experiences is how people walk. Sometimes they're not even touching the floor.
Yeah.
And with that, how can you ever feel secure and safe if you're not even touching the floor?
Mm,
How can you slow down if you have no ground beneath you?
mm.
Who's going to hold you up? Who's going to support you? Like so many breakthroughs coming from that moment of, oh my God, the floor feels really strong. I've never even noticed that before. I've never even noticed that I clench my toes when I walk across the floor first thing in the morning. And I wonder why I need 7 cups of coffee to get me started because my feet haven't touched the floor.
Yeah.
Coming back to that intelligent movement, how we move our body through time and space because of the way that we are feeling.
And like you just said then, in terms of your feet being on the ground, I know obviously grounding is so important and kind of having that connection with nature. And I've talked about this before on the podcast of our we've kind of stopped leaning into the importance of nature, but yet really it's so much a part of us, isn't it?
Mhm.
Tech has come in
Mhm.
and it's like, okay, this is your world now. And so yes, we might go for a 20-minute walk, that's what we're supposed to do, but really we need to honor it a bit more. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, and here's the difference. We do our 20-minute walk because we think we have to do our 20-minute
Yeah.
walk. And we've got ear pods on and like we're not even paying attention to what's going on around us.
Yeah.
The science is out there now. Barefoot walking can pull down inflammation. It balances your cortisol. You get out first thing in the morning before the sunrise because you want to get the UVA, which helps to balance your hormones. Annalie Whitfield is a don on this conversation. Check her out. Birdsong.
Yeah.
Birdsong can put you in a parasympathetic state. All of this. And nature doesn't even have to write this down on a disclaimer, it just is. This is what nature does. This is what harmony is. But there's more to it than that. There are the stories within
Mm.
nature that help us make sense of this life. The way the seasons change. Last night, I held a gathering. I have a beautiful community in Devon, and we met last night for movement, breath, storytelling, and sound bowls. And we spoke about the Celtic goddess Kalia and Dagda. And these two come together at this point to strip back what is false.
Mm.
The stark reality. What are you pretending? What do you need? All of these ancient whispers from our ancestors in time, they're archetypes. They help us create understanding about where we are
Mm.
and where we would like to be. And it's so rich. This is richer than monetary value. This is
Mm.
rich. This is soul rich. And these things are, they're so important. I've this year I've sat with a beautiful woman called Lim. She's an astrologer, and we've met every month. And every time I come away, I feel like I've sat with a grandmother around a fire.
Mm.
She tells us these stories. She nourishes us with her words. This is life. And this is what we're missing out on.
Mm.
And it's so beautiful. I mean, I'm a working class girl from London. I would never have thought about this stuff growing up.
Mm.
But it's just changed my life. And it is making midlife for me a beautiful place to be that I'm not afraid of.
Mm.
I have so slowed down. I mean, I don't think my younger self will recognise me, other than the pink dress. I have slowed down because I trust where I am right now. I am in a body that I love. I am in relationships with people that I love. I live in a place that is so beautiful because it is in nature and it brings out the best in me and my family.
Mm.
All very big decisions that came from midlife. Like leaving London came at midlife during COVID. And that was an intuitive response. I had said for a while that I wanted to leave London, but at that point, it just wasn't possible. My husband's work commitments, we just had our second child. But then this voice who had been whispering to me, it'd be so nice. I think it's time. And I was like, okay, no, we'll just put you down now for a little bit.
Yeah.
She then said, if you don't leave, you're going to get really sick. This is coming.
Mm.
And now this is your choice. So you can choose your trauma or you can choose life.
Mm.
And I was like, right, okay, I choose life.
Yeah.
And I said to my husband, right, we really need to sit down and have a chat about this because if we need to divorce, I'd rather do it now because I don't want to break up and hate you and I don't want you to hate me. And he was like, oh, you're serious then? I was like, yes, I absolutely am.
Yeah, that's what
I absolutely
am. Serious.
I absolutely am. And I applaud this man
Yeah.
because he stepped out of his comfort zone big time for me.
Mm.
And I will love him till the end of my days for that. But we now both look at each other and go, it was the best decision we ever made.
Mm.
And that came from intuition.
And I love that because like you talk then about the whisper, and it is a whisper, isn't it? Like many of us get it, and it can be when you just that little voice that's kind of, I'm not really keen about this, I'm not really sure about this, and many of us ignore it and we go no, and it can even come down to things like your health even, there's things, ailments or emotions again that you're unhappy with, but we've really got to trust that voice, haven't we, and really listen to that inner wisdom and that gut instinct because it's there for a reason.
Oh, it's so there for a reason. And what you will find, and I'm sure you get this, Natalie, midlife, that communication gets so much stronger. If I'd have gone to the doctor and said, so I want to leave London, I'm feeling quite down, I feel very claustrophobic and I'm thinking about leaving my husband, they probably would have given me an antidepressant. Because I hear this story all the time and it's the only solution that they have, But that's that's feelings coming up. That's having the patience and the courage to sit there before thinking that you have to fix it for it to come out and just come out. And it can look and feel so ugly.
Mm,
That's a scary thing, I think, because
yeah.
we're all trying to keep it together and to fit in and to look great, but our feelings can look so ugly that is scary. But once they're out, there is this like shift. We talk of doors opening, don't we? Doors and
Mm,
windows and moving into the next realm and taking one step forwards. That's the next step. Like you've just written a chapter of your life
mm.
and now you're on to the next one. And that feeling is a stepping stone to the next one, which builds greater resilience and gumption and, you know, everything. It just puts you back in touch with life.
I think it's amazing that when you do get to midlife, and again, going back to what you said about intergenerational kind of conversations, which I just love so
Mm,
much. I love hearing from the older ladies. I'm like, so tell me about this because I love it. I just feel so enriched by it. Like you want to hear kind of what their version was and what they did to get there
mm,
and what they went through and how did they arrive where they are, and it helps you have some kind of A, hope, and B, kind of putting your plan together, like, okay, how can I navigate this then? But also, I suppose, of honoring those people that have gone before you and kind of that have blazed a trail. And you're like, yes, actually, I'm going to follow you, and you behind me, you can come as well.
Oh,
Like,
I love
do you
it.
know what I mean? Though it's
Yes.
like this thing of, and I love hearing that, and it does enrich you. But it's kind of finding that way and listening again to that inner voice and learning that that inner voice is there for a reason, and whether it's from your ancestors
Mm,
speaking to you or whether it's something that's the little person inside you that's like, no, I want to do this, your
mm,
inner child, there's a reason it's there, and by suppressing it, it's only going to get louder. is,
yeah,
is that your experience?
absolutely. So I'm studying functional kinesiology with the wonderful Claire and Laura. Um, I learned about the two inner children. So you've got your younger self and your teenager. So the younger self is who holds the fear,
Yeah.
and your teenager is like the angry one. And so you start to play with this, and there was practices that we did where over the next 21 days you let the angry teenager out every single day. Well, I had a voice like I've got now after those 21 days. But that little girl, that tiny little you, oh, isn't she adorable?
Mm,
And I get nervous sometimes about doing certain things. And last night, there was some little butterflies going on, and I just sat there and went, "Darling, are you okay?"
mm,
And she was just like, I just feel a bit worried about speaking. I was like, "We don't have to. Let me speak. It's okay.
uh,
This is what I'm here for. And if you don't want to talk, you don't want to talk." And then she just felt so happy, and that shifts so much. I didn't feel nervous because
mm,
I'd been seen and I'd been listened to. Again, if anyone had seen me, they
yeah.
probably would have thought I'd lost the plot. Yeah, but it so works. It so works. Just listening, paying attention. And it's so simple, we make it so difficult.
Well, I think as well, because there's so much like attached to it, isn't it? Like these thought concepts for some people, they're really hard to get on board with.
Mm,
I'm a very open person, and I love to explore things and explore kind of ideas, and especially when it comes to kind of nurturing the young person
mm,
inside you still, because they don't just leave you. It's still there, and there's still
mm,
things to honor. And I do think that there's a lot in it for sure. And whereas I know that there's a lot of people in the I always say the outside world that don't necessarily want to get on board with it, and whether that's through fear or whether it's just I'm happy where I am and I don't kind of want to step anywhere else.
mm,
But I think that especially inner child work and parenting yourself, that is something that I learn a lot about, and I do love that concept, and I think for many people it's really helpful
mm.
because it helps to not blame parents always for things that they got wrong,
Absolutely.
because they were often figuring it out themselves. So
Absolutely.
you need to give yourself the love that you want and you deserve. And I found that really interesting and like I said, helpful. And for you, when you were talking about kinesiology, I have to do this now because it's reminded me how to say it earlier. Um, just explain like the full concept to me.
So kinesiology is muscle testing.
Right.
So the wonderful John Goodhart, he was a chiropractor, and this is a long story short. He would be fixing his clients' necks, and that should have been it. But they'd come back the next week. Anyway, so his practice, they took all of these clients and they went through their health history and found that they all had IBS. So they sorted the IBS and the neck pain went. So then he could pull together all of these alternative practitioners from traditional Chinese medicine,
Mhm.
acupuncture, NLP, everything, and they created they created kinesiology, which is the muscle testing that links your muscles to certain organs. So it
Right.
tells you it's if the energy is working or not. So the
Wow.
body is speaking. You are talking to your stress response, and it is revealing the hidden stress that is in your body, and
Mm,
creates those issues that you can't necessarily feel straight off because
mm,
life is so busy, life is so noisy.
yeah.
But it's a wonder as a mover and as someone that appreciates the body. This makes so much sense to me.
Mm,
And I absolutely love it. And I've had some wonderful, wonderful moments with women, which I offer one to one, which one woman's called it a retreat day. So they spend the day with me, or just in a normal clinic space, which has helped women with endometriosis, which has helped them with other hormonal imbalances. But a lot of the time, it is them coming to me and needing that space.
yeah.
They just need the space to get their head together. They know everything. And this
Yeah.
is the thing. We know. We know what we need. We just need the space and the support to integrate that.
Mm,
And this is where we're at right now. We're speaking all the time about menopause, about menstruation, and this is great. We've got the conversations going, but where's the integration?
yeah.
We need to integrate it now. We need workplaces to understand how we can really support these women by looking at the fact that they are energy efficient. They're not time managed. And what I
Mm,
mean by that is that we have these pockets of time throughout the table. We've got so much energy. We get 4 hours of work done in 1 hour.
mm.
That's what we need to be looking at. Not stressing someone out and making them spread themselves over a full day. I think this is the game changer. This is where we need to be looking.
I think as well, Abby, is that I have to now plan my diary around my cycle. Like
Mm,
I know I am a powerhouse at certain points of the month, and that other times I need to be soft.
yeah.
I need to lean into that, and do. I can't be that same person that's like the first half of the month. I cannot be her the whole time.
Mm,
It's just not honouring my body. And I have to genuinely like mark in what meetings I'm having where across a month. And it all links to my cycle.
yeah.
And that's just the way it has to be. And if, and I'm working with other women, I'm very appreciative of the fact that not everybody has that energy level all the time. And there's other ways of us being, what's the word, efficient, so
Yeah.
to speak, and getting work done, but in a way that suits us and our bodies. And what you were saying there about integrating our like who we are as a
Mm,
species.
yeah.
It's a very kind of masculine or so to speak like framework that we
Mm,
work in. We're not really leaning into our feminine framework of this is what our bodies need and this is what we rely on, like our cycles. And I know you talk a lot about that, about
mm.
um just like our hormones and our cycles and our energy. I mean, what more do you think we should be doing in the workplace?
It's looking at, some companies have bought this four-day weekend.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's kind of akin to that, really, where you're looking at the energy efficiency of the human being. Where do they have more energy at what time? And how can you use that to get what needs to be done?
Yeah.
Not making them work 7 days a week, because out of those seven, you're probably only going to get four anyway.
Mm,
So it's a real waste of time. And if you're looking for longevity, I find this really interesting. a lot of companies find it hard to maintain staff these days.
Mm.
The cost of that is huge. And I was speaking to a dad at the school. He works in the car industry, and he said, the amount of money we have to spend because people move so quickly.
Mm.
It's not just the financial burden, it's also an energetic burden on the people that are still there because they're working harder for no more money. They're having to take on and educate those people in their. There's so much that is being used unnecessarily.
Mm.
And I think if we could just take the time to look at that, it would be an absolute game changer. And looking at not only for menstruation, but for menopause. I mean, I love, when we heard that stat about 900,000 women leaving their jobs in menopause. And I remember
Yeah.
speaking to my mate Kate Coddington about it, and she went, what if those women just woke up and thought, I've had enough?
Yeah.
Like, don't feel sorry for me. I've had enough. I don't want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And they've gone on to do something that they really, really want.
Yeah.
It's another thing with us is that we tend to see the negative a lot in things. And this is how we see female health, right?
Yeah.
There's a fear-based narrative all the time. Menstruation, a lot of people are recommended the pill or some form of medication to sort out the hormones that are basically sorting themselves out.
Mm.
And then we get to midlife, perimenopause, menopause, and now it is all about preparing for the fact that apparently our bodies are going to fall apart and our brains are going to fall out of our bums. Giving us this space to explore what this might look like on an individual basis. How wonderful would that be?
Yeah.
Instead of someone keep telling us what we're going to experience, telling us what we need to do all the time. We're aware that we need to look after our bodies. We know we've got to exercise, we've got to eat well, we get all that. But when we're emotionally drained and we don't have the time, we don't do that, do we?
No, and you're right. It's about coming together. And I think the sense of community and the idea of community really, like I saw this amazing thing, actually, it really reminded me of you. It was called Mums Feeling Themselves. And it's a group in America and they all get together and have a daytime rave.
Oh,
and I was like, yeah, it was like, and sometimes they cry and they just like, they dance to 90s house music and they love it. And they're just moving their bodies in the middle of the day.
Beautiful.
And it's really picked up momentum. And it's kind of, it's become this thing across America now in certain states where these women just need to be free and they just needed, and she said, we just needed a space. We needed a space where we could move and where we weren't just being completely responsible for everybody all at the same time.
Oh my goodness, that's it, Natalie, isn't it? And I think that's the hashtag here, not being responsible for everyone else all of the time.
Yeah.
But it's realising that we're making ourselves be busy for everyone else all of the time.
Yeah.
Because that's the conditioning inside of us. And I've said for a long time, our bodies have not been on our own. Really, have they? When you think they've been poked at, prodded at.
Yeah.
They've been a wife with no choice, going back a very long time ago, but even up until this point, And we're finally starting to get a little bit of authority, a bit of autonomy. Like we can do things with our bodies without having to ask permission. But the echo of time is a hard groove to move out of, isn't it? Because there still is that, should I do that? Can I do that?
That questioning.
Isn't it? It comes up. And I think it's natural. Of course it would be. But this is where taking the time to listen in makes such a big difference. And I can give you all of the tools in all of the world. But the biggest thing you can ever give yourself is time and space.
Oh, Abby, I could have continued talking to you for the rest of today, honestly, but sadly we have run out of time. But oh my God, thank you so much for being with me.
You're
it's been an
very welcome.
absolute joy. I hope you guys at home have really enjoyed it as well. And yes, give yourself permission to move, to sit, to be, to listen. Just please.
To dance.
Yeah, definitely. If you'd like even more from Abby, you can follow her on Instagram at Abigail_Beckingham, where you're you're sure to find more inspiration on how you can tune in to your inner wisdom. For more women's health and lifestyle, you can visit us at our website, thecapsule.co.uk. You can also catch up with our previous podcast episodes by visiting the podcast page and subscribing to any of our podcast channels and YouTube. You can also drop us a message at our Instagram at Official Capsule if you'd like to get involved with us on socials, or if you'd like to put any questions to us or any of our future guests. And don't forget, as always, you can leave your rates and reviews because we do love hearing from you. I will be back next week with another very special guest, but today all that's left for us to say is goodbye. So it's goodbye from Abby.
Bye-bye.
And goodbye from me. See you next week.